How does one run Facebook ads for hiring, employment, job opportunities? Now, Facebook ads aren't just good to get you more clients. They're an amazing platform to replace job boards and get you an inbound and consistent stream of applicants to work for your business. Now, how would I know this? Well, I've spent over $50,000 on a single client's hiring campaign this year to date, and I've spent several thousands more on hiring ads for our own business. So what I want to show you in today's video, very simply put, is what is the best setup for your Facebook ads if you want to gear them towards hiring more candidates. So let's get straight into today's video. Now, I've got a campaign opened up right here in front of me, and I'm going to select it right here. This is one of our latest campaign where we're currently hiring for a creative strategist. So I thought, well, what better way to show you this? We just launched it very recently. And so hence why I'm going to start by showing you this. And I'll show you two other client ad accounts in a second for other roles in which we've been hiring for. So the way in which I structure the campaign is the same in which I would structure it for a client acquisition campaign with one little caveat. So if I open up the campaign right here, now at the campaign level, if I scroll down, you can see that one of the core differences with a regular campaign versus a hiring campaign is I always have a special ad category turned on. So here, this therefore means that I tell Facebook, hey, this is an ad about employment. I'm giving someone an employment opportunity. Now, why would you do that? This is one of the regulations that Meta has. They want to prevent discrimination. They want to make sure you're not hiring specific candidates based on race or things like that. So hence why they kind of have a special category for it. Now, what it also does is like you have to be careful about the things in which you ask if you're going to be doing an instant form. So meaning you're going to do a lead form on Facebook to get like the leads, to get the applicants to come in. I personally don't use instant forms, and I'll show you why in a second. And in modified audience options, you also can't granularly target interests with an employment campaign. Whereas anyways, in my case, I never use interests nowadays. We always target broad. So if I show you at the ad set level, okay, what we have right here is you're going to see the location in which we're actually hiring those candidates. Or usually you can target as granular as a city. In my case, I'm just targeting specific provinces in Canada for a specific language because I want French speaking candidates for the most part. So simple as that. Everything else I leave completely open. My placements are automatic, and I would invite you to do the same thing. So here in the location, say you're a local business, you're like a plumbing business, you can go as far as like picking a city as an example right here, and then putting a certain mileage radius around that city. So that way, that could be a city, say, or you could even drop a manual pin if you wanted to, say, zooming in on the map right around your business's location, and then use that essentially as a custom location for you to build a target area around. So all that to say, if you got a local business, this works just the same, even if your talent is constrained in a specific area. Now, in terms of ads, for this one, I even go quote unquote simpler than other campaigns. I'll show you different structures in a second. Because I'm operating at a very low budget in my case, I just put all ads in one ad set. Usually what I also like to do for the most part, if we're going to spend a lot more money, like the client's campaign in which we've spent about $50,000 this year to date on hiring ads. This one, we're doing one ad per ad set. But don't worry, I'll show you this in a second, okay? Now, those ads, what are they about? Now, this usually depends on what type of role I'm hiring for, how fast I want to hire a candidate, and also how much budget I have. Because people need to understand that hiring ads literally work the same way as client acquisition ads, which means you have an ideal hire avatar, just like you have an ideal client avatar, right? A lot of people talk about ICPs, ideal client profile. You have an ideal hire profile, an IHP in this case, okay? And this profile, this candidate you want to attract with your ads, they have desires, which is either to want to make more money, or they want to have a better life, or they want to be valued in their workspace. They want to work with like-minded individuals. They want to progress in their career. They do have wants, just like a client of yours has wants. They have problems they want to fix. Your hires also have problems they want to fix. Now, I've spent a lot of time on the channel, and I invite you to check several videos I have on awareness levels, okay? Specifically, I have a video on the channel, which I invite you to check. If I go here on YouTube, it is pinned on
if you've been looking through YouTube
homepage of my channel, which is full Facebook ads course for e-commerce. It works for any business type, okay? And I spent a lot of time talking about the different awareness levels. Check this out, okay? Here, going back, in hiring, you also have different awareness levels. This is how aware someone actively is of their own desire as your ideal hire. So as an example, if one of your hires is, I want to make more money, okay? Let's just talk about that. Someone who is unaware would probably be a potential candidate who is currently happily employed and they don't yet know that they're not being fairly valued for market, for like market value. So what type of ads would I want to make, or what type of creatives would I want to create for someone like this? I'd probably make creatives that say something along the lines of like, say I'm hiring for a copywriter. I could make an ad that says, did you know the average copywriter in Montreal, Canada gets compensated $75,000 a year? We beat market pricing here at paidadvertising.com. Click the link below to learn more about our role and apply now. If I'm a copywriter who's not actively looking for a job, I'm like, no way, 75 grand a year? I didn't know that. And I'm going to click on the ad to learn more about it, right? That's like if I'm like unaware, as an example. Problem aware. I could make an ad that is like a skit. I could like show someone, like I could put a banner at the top, like copywriters day in the life in Montreal. So like now I target my ideal, hire persona just with this headline that is visually on my video. Then I have like someone who like strolls and they get to the office and they're like, hey, copywriter, here's your paycheck. They check the paycheck, the camera goes above their shoulder and it's like, oh, it's only this? And then it cuts back to like me sitting down in the office saying, are you tired of being undervalued for your work? You want to be fairly valued for the work that you provide, the experience you have. Here at paidadvertising.com, we offer above market compensation, blah, blah, blah. I'm only talking about ad angles now with different awareness levels based on like the desire of wanting to make more money, okay? Your hires have various other desires. It doesn't have to be about money. Now, why did I say the types of ads you're going to make will depend on how many hires you have? It'll honestly depend on various factors. First of all, it's like if you're in a very major city, say like Montreal, like I am, say you only want to have one hire and it's a very popular role, like a copywriter. There's a lot of people in that role. There's probably a lot of demand, meaning a lot of these guys like want a job. Okay. And then you can do a quick market analysis and look at how many other competitors, how many other businesses are currently hiring for copywriters. And based on that, it'll help you gauge, should you do more product aware ads? Should you do more problem aware ads? Like what type of awareness level should you go about? In my case, I decided to go very product, even most aware type of advertising. I was like, look, I know there's a lot of copywriters here. I know I'm also been doing a lot of content here. I'm assuming some of them already know of me. So I'm going very, very call to action / offer driven ads, which is like, hey, we're hiring for this role, apply now. Super like offer and CTA driven, right? If I show you another ad of mine right here, it's like, hey, we're hiring for a copywriter creative strategist. Join our team right now. Click the link below to apply. That's it, right? If I show you a third ad, it's pretty much the same. Are you a copywriter, creative strategy, or which this would mean kind of like a media buying strategist in this case, which is just a term in French, right? It's like, we want you at our agency's name. Click the link below to apply, right? Show you a fourth one. This is a video. This is literally me with a hiring ad on the back. It says, hey, I'm Justin Lalonde. I'm the founder of paidadvertising.com. We're currently hiring for a copywriter. Very product aware ads, okay? Very, very aware. They're aware of their own desire of wanting to either switch jobs or have a new opportunity. They're aware of what a copywriter is and does, and they're just looking for an opportunity right now. That's who I'm targeting. Now, let me show you another ad account. So now if I show you this client right here as an example, okay? We've spent quite a lot of money. In fact, close to $50,000 this year to date on hiring ads alone, okay? Now, we still have one campaign running right now, which is right here, okay? This campaign was launched on May 15th of this summer. It's still actively running right now as a campaign, although a much lower budget nowadays than what it used to be back then because we were in a bigger hire spree over summer. But let me show you the structure of this campaign. If I open up this and I go to the ad set level, I have one ad batch or ad creative per ad set. The same way I explain on the channel and I explain on this video here that I usually do for sales campaigns. If I open up one of those ad sets, what do you see? 3 variations of a same ad. Forget about this one at the top. This is a draft that I have right here. We have 3 variations of a same ad, 3 hook variations of the same ad. Let's open this ad up right here. So if you take a look at this, right? This one right there is talking about, are you tired of your job right now? Are you looking for a new sales role? Are you looking to make more money? Blah, 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 right? This is more of a video campaign, right? Much better edited than the ads I have shown you earlier for my own business. Why? Because with this client, again, looking at the market, this is what works better in terms of like sales roles and so on and so forth based on the competition and what other ads competitors run to acquire this type of talent, okay? I've just kind of shown you now like different styles of ads. Okay, this campaign here is for sales people. My campaign earlier was specifically for copywriters, right? If I show you here what we always use, and I'm going to scroll down. So, okay, we usually have 2 pieces of copy and 2 headlines. For whatever reason on the site, it seems like we only have 1, but I usually prefer 2 headlines, 2 pieces of copy, all aligned with whatever my ad concept is about, okay? Now, I'm going to be showing you what that landing page looks like. So I'm going to go back to my own ad account right here to show you this. So here's the landing page I currently send my creative strategist applicants to. It says, we are hiring creative strategists. Please thoroughly fill out the below application form to be considered. Step 1, watch the video. Step 2, apply. This, in other words, in the online sales space would be called a VSL, which is a video sales letter. People get to a landing page where they have to watch a video, which sells them on the opportunity or the product. In this case, the product is the job. What you're selling is the job. You're selling the job opportunity. I have right here a 16-minute video that I detail the entire role, what it's about, why they should consider us as an employer, what they're going to get if they work with us, why it's great to work at our business, so on and so forth. Why? Because I explained the job so much right here, this again is very, very product aware, as I spoke about earlier. Say I'm targeting very unaware people. I want A players who are currently employed. They're unaware that they are not being paid at fair market value and that they can get a better opportunity. If my ad was what I said earlier in this video, and it's like, did you know that the average copywriter makes $75,000 a year in Montreal? See here if you're being paid fairly. Something like that. Would it make sense if I bring them to an application form? No. They're probably going to be like, what do I care about your role? I wanted to learn like why copywriters are being paid more or less, whatever. I would have to have a different landing page for that. Okay, maybe like a longer form sales letter, like a copywriting article that talks about like fair market compensation for copywriters and like why we pay copywriters better. And then I like imbrick in that article as an example, like our application form, something like that, right? It's like you would want to adapt your medium, right? Like the ad to what is on the landing page or vice versa, the landing page to the ad. So here, that's why I have an explainer video with an application form. What I optimize for on my ad. So if I go back right here, right? You can see this is triggering based on a website submit application. I personally use GoHighLevel. I've talked about it many times on the channel. So GoHighLevel right here, which is one of the best softwares out there to build like funnels. I use this. And what I've built is this landing page right here that has this video embedded on it, which is a very simple Loom video. Then I have here, which is a survey from GoHighLevel. And I've built a workflow, an automation on GoHighLevel where when somebody fills out this survey, it sends back to my Facebook's conversion API a submit application event. And therefore, I optimize for somebody who submitted an application. So Facebook learns when somebody went through this entire application process and it fires back right here as an event. So if I show you this, say last 30 days, it's currently costing me $63.43 per submit application. Now that cost differs based on what type of role you're hiring for. The more specific the role is, the less people that usually have this job or title, the more it's going to cost you, right? The smaller the targeting you have. So say you're like a local business, you're like a plumber, okay? And you want to hire other like technicians and plumbers. Well, it's a pretty specialized job. So it will cost you more than what I'm showing you right here. That's normal. Now, finally, here's another client of ours as an example with a hiring campaign this year to date, about $6,000 spent across those two campaigns. Now, you can see cost per lead, especially on the one that I'm highlighting right now, super low, 43 cents cost per lead. You're like, oh my God, what was he like selling? What was he targeting? If I show you this right here, it's a very simple ad right there. It's like hiring appointment setter says on top of it, what is the money that someone is gonna, get from that role? Appointment setter is a very common role. It's a widespread role. A lot of people want to become an appointment setter. It's a very low barrier to entry type of role. You'll get a lot of volume of applicants for something like this, okay? But in something like that, just so you know, about only 1% of applicants are actually qualified. So like here, okay, yes, 43 cents per applicant. It's actually like $43 per like qualified applicant. It's not bad overall. I'm just saying, you will definitely see your cost per lead or your cost per applicant being higher or lower based on like the type of role you're marketing. And like, are you going nationwide? Are you targeting just a small radius? Like what type of radius of targeting or role you're going for? Now, one of the most common questions I get, which I haven't yet answered in this video, it's like, what do you optimize for when you do a hiring campaign? Like what is your like KPI? So in other words, like what is your target cost per applicant that you want to go for? And that answer is a lot less clear than it is when it comes to a sales campaign. Because a sales campaign, I mean, if you're optimizing for a cost per lead or a cost per call or a cost per sale, you always like end up being able to put a monetary value on top of it. Because you know that a lead, how many leads convert to an appointment, how many appointments convert to a sale, you can then quantify how much a lead is worth to you. So as long as you spend less than that amount, then you're profitable, right? For an applicant though, it's like, how do you typically go about this? I'd usually say a good benchmark to aim for, okay? If you can be less than 20% of the employee's annual salary to acquire that employee as a cost per acquisition, you're doing a pretty good job. So as an example, if you pay somebody 100 grand a year, okay, it probably will cost you, like in this case, so 100, grand. Let me just go about it right here. Times 20%, 20 grand, right? 20 grand to acquire that employee. So as long as you spend less than 20 grand, you're pretty much within the average. If you work with a lot of placement or hiring agencies, it is not rare for them to charge you anywhere between 15 to 20% of someone's annual salary. So if we want to be a little more conservative, we could say like maximum 15K to get a qualified candidate as an example, in which you're going to pay 100 grand a year. So again, that's a general rule of thumb. And then you can rework your numbers from there. It's like, okay, well, if I'm optimizing my ads for a cost per applicant, then therefore that means that my funnel, and I'm just going to go ahead and here and put a whiteboard. So right here, I would have my cost per applicant. Okay, I'm going to go CPA right there. So cost per applicant. I'm going to put app right there. Then downstream in the funnel, I would have my cost per booked interview. Okay, cost per booked interview. Then I'm going to have my cost per hire right here. If here we know that this has to be lower than 15K, all you have to know, if you're going to be optimizing for a cost per applicant on your ads, if that's like the metric, like me here, your cost per application, how do you know what you need to optimize for? Well, you just determine how many interviews on average in your interview process do you have to take in order to have one new hire. So as an example right here, general rule of thumb for how many interviews it's going to take you to get like one hire will honestly vary based on the type of role, the industry. In my case, it's very high. Okay, very high. It's like my cost per booked interview. In my case, I'm going to hire usually 1 out of 5 people that I interview is what I'm going to get. So here it's like 1 out of 5. So in other words, I go 1 out of 5 of this. So $15,000 divided by 5 is 3 grand. As long as I spend less than 3 grand to get an interview booked, I'm good. Okay, great. Now, very important. How many leads do I usually invite to an interview? In my case, it's 2%. Okay. So then I go like this here cannot be more than 2% of this amount. So 2% of 3,000. It's $60. Okay. So I got to go back right here and say I cannot spend more than $60 on a cost per applicant. If I'm below $60, I am profitable. So right here, I'm currently spending $63. So you can see like, I'm not 100% profitable. If I look into all my ads right here, I realize that, well, 2 of my ads are getting me a profitable cost per applicant and 2 of them aren't. So what do I do to optimize those ads? I kill these 2 ads and I keep the top 2 running. Does that make sense, right? So that's how you determine what your KPIs are for hiring ads. And of course, this all works so as long as your employee retention is good. Because like if you churn your employee within the first 2 to 3 months, well, then you would have spent like in this example, 15K to acquire a bad employee. They're not going to make you any money. Like you're going to have lost money on that employee. See this as an investment, okay? If your employee retention rate is high and you made a good hiring decision, then you haven't lost money by hiring this employee, okay? So now if you've watched all this video and you want to work one-on-one with me to have me review your ads, your funnels, offers, name it, and learn how to implement AI into your advertising processes, check the link below to join our Ad Engine one-on-one inner circle today. And perhaps if you want us to run your ads for you, that is your hiring ads or your sales ads for your business, then also check the description below and book in a call to work with us at paidadvertising.com. I'm going to wish you an amazing day. Do check out other videos on the channel for some more useful marketing tips, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.